Today we are at the fifth episode of GS2 Social Justice. So if you haven't watched the previous 4 episodes, I recommend you to watch those episodes because this one will be a continuation of the previous 4 episodes. So before starting our lecture, I have a small announcement. Please do have a look at all the playlists which are available in this channel. Actually, these are specifically designed for UPSC. And these are also part of our paid courses, but if the response is good here, we'll be considering putting it fully for free. So what you have to do is, please do subscribe and leave a feedback comment under each video. And if you're looking for a good quality test series, then you can approach Vysh Ias WhatsApp. The number is given on the screen, 7200681675. So without any delay, let's move on to the lecture. So the topic we have to deal today will be poverty and hunger. What are the issues relating to poverty and hunger? Now this is a very important topic. This is a very potential topic also. The various dimensions, related dimensions, some dimensions we have covered in previous lectures also. So I would recommend you to watch those lectures and supplement the details given in this video with those also. Okay, so let's start the lecture. Now, poverty. What is poverty? So you have to keep a definition for each keyword or term in the syllabus. So how can you define poverty? It is the state of individual, family or society which is being unable to fulfill the basic necessities and basic standard of living. So poverty is a condition which can be defined as a loss of human dignity. The person is not able to meet his basic necessities and the standard of living and the livelihood prospects are very low. So it can be defined with respect to individual, family or a society as a whole. For instance, India is a lower middle income country and India is afflicted with poverty also. Then World Bank definition. See, these kind of definitions given by international institutions or some reports etc. becomes important from the mains perspective, because when some question is there, you can use these kinds of definition right in the introduction itself. So if there is a question relating to poverty, then if you are using World Bank defines poverty as such, so if you are writing like that, then your introduction itself will look more attractive. So how has World Bank defined it? It is pronounced deprivation in the well-being and it has many dimensions. So it is not only the low income, it is not only the economic disability, rather it is the inability to acquire basic goods like the food and the clothing, shelter etc. Then services, basic services like education, livelihood, health etc. So these are all inherent to the survival of the individual with dignity. So the World Bank provides a broader kind of definition. Then you have to learn certain keywords related to poverty. What is poverty line, what is poverty line basket and what is poverty ratio. So poverty line, it is like a conventional approach, like BPL is there below poverty line, APL is there above poverty line. So this is the poverty line. So what is poverty line? It is used to specify a minimum expenditure or income. So there is a basket of goods and services. These basket of goods and services is necessary for the fulfillment of the individual, livelihood of the individual. So this may contain food, this may contain clothing, this may contain shelter, education, health, etc. So there is a predefined set of goods and services. Without this, even this minimum set of goods and services, the person can't lead a life with dignity. So that is the poverty line. The income required to buy this basic services. How much is the cost for this services? Suppose we can take the cost as 100. So anyone who is having below this 100 rupees, so he or she is facing disabilities due to poverty. So that person is said to be below the poverty line. So that is all about poverty line. Then the particular basket of goods and services we have taken here as reference, that is called the poverty line basket. So that is clear. Then poverty ratio. What is poverty ratio? So let's take a population which is 1000. A society contains 1000 people. Then what is poverty ratio or poverty headcount ratio? The percentage of population below poverty line, it is called the poverty ratio. So if 10 people are in poverty, then the percentage is 10%. Okay, so next aspect is the multi-dimensional poverty. Multi-dimensional poverty means it is going ahead of the economic aspect. Not only the loss of income, but also the psychological poverty that is related to alienation. Alienation due to land fragmentation is there. So that kind of alienation can happen. Then alienation due to the distress migration, that can be a factor. Then depression, the psychological stress. Then economic loss of livelihood. So poverty is not only dealing with this economic factor, it rather considers the psychological factor also. So next thing is the two definitions or two aspects set by UN, that is income poverty and human poverty. What is this? Income poverty, as the name suggests, it is based on the monetary aspect. So it is taking into consideration the economic aspects only. So it is a conventional means also. It is used by governments all over the world to determine the poverty line. So it is a conventional kind of thing. Then human poverty, it is a broader concept. So it covers, human poverty is more in coverage than income poverty. It is a broader concept and it includes the social deprivation faced by the individual also. Why the social deprivation happens? Because there is a denial of choice and opportunities. Some people are not getting ample choices to come to the forefront. So their mobility is being distracted. They are not getting opportunities. That is why we are not able to absorb our labor force participation rate to workforce participation rate, because many people are not having access to employment, education and health. So that is considered in human poverty aspect. Okay, next, what are the causes of poverty? So this also you can write many causes. For this you can use the points given in the previous 4 episodes also. Many aspects are covered there. So that won't be covered here because that amounts to duplication. So what you can do is, while writing answers or while preparing for mains, you have to consolidate the topics and prepare accordingly. So what are the causes of poverty? Coming to the point. So first cause is underutilization and misutilization of resources. See, already India is facing scarcity of resources in terms of funds, in terms of natural resources, in terms of other resources also. So within this scarcity, there should be smart ways of utilization of resources, but India is not even equipped to do that. So we are facing underutilization and misutilization. Misutilization means we are diverting the funds dedicated to the welfare sections for other parts. So there is corruption, there is red tapeism, etc. So through corruption there is misutilization of resources. Actually that was intended for other welfare sections. Then another example would be DBT, direct benefit transfer. These are also given for poverty and deprived sections. Even this is not reaching the target, that is being misutilized. Then underutilization. What is underutilization? We are having some potential. Like for example, we can take India's marine sector. India is having a long coastline, so it can actually increase the marine productivity and accordingly it can provide more employment. But India has not yet realized the potential of this marine sector. So that is underutilization of resources. So that is one factor. Next is population explosion and increasing food security. So population explosion, India will be shortly overcoming China, or India will be surpassing China with respect to population. So to feed this increasing population, we have to have a good framework of food security. Even that is lacking in India. Here you can quote some statistics also. This I have covered in earlier lectures also. India, it is having 40% wastage of food. So already we are having food insecurity. On the top of that, we are wasting 40% of our food also. So that is a matter which is causing poverty or aggravating the issue of poverty. Then next issue is land alienation and fragmentation. So this is related to agriculture sector and agri distress. There is this land alienation. Already people are having lower or less amount of land in terms of area. there the productivity can't be realized as such. So on the top of that, it is getting alienated due to improper records and improper productivity, debt, suicides, etc. So that is one reason they are losing their livelihood, and fragmentation of land also. So this you can relate with agricultural distress as a cause for poverty. Then next cause is unemployment. Unemployment is a very worse problem in India, and it is day by day increasing also. We are coming to see new chances, new categories of unemployed persons. So there is a statistics by NSSO survey 2019. It was a year which has seen unemployment at 6.1%, and it was the highest recorded unemployment rate during the past 45 years. Okay, so that is one important statistics which you can use to reveal the unemployment rates in India. Then inflation is another reason. Why? Because with inflation the cost of living increases. So in accordance with that, the wages are not increasing, especially for unorganized sector. Most of India's workers and India's employment force works in unorganized sector. Here it is, since it is unregulated, the upgraded wages are not getting translated into the workers, or it is not reaching the workers. So inflation is yet another reason which forces some deprived sections into poverty. Then next is socio-cultural barriers. So how it is causing poverty means socio-cultural barriers like caste, age, gender, religion, region, etc. So this actually hinders the mobility. It actually hinders the person from gaining gainful employment, or it hinders the person from developing themselves. So this is a socio-cultural barrier which is causing poverty. Then lack of social necessities, education and health outcomes are very poor among poverty-ridden population. When these two are ridden, they are getting blocked the chances of survival. So this is another reason. Then next reason is distress migration. Why distress migration is a problem? See, out of the lower prospects in hometown, people will be migrating to other cities. That can be intra-country, interstate, then inter-country migration, etc. can be there. So mainly this minority sections will be suffering during this distress migration. When they go to an even more unsecure place through migration, so there they will be facing rental expenses, then other basic expenses. The cost of living may be high, so they may not be developing a savings culture, or they may not be having such amount to save or sustain a livelihood. So that is one reason causing poverty. Next is improper training and skill development. So these people, they are having less amount of skills and they are not getting adequate training also. So PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, such programs are in place, but the implementation is in question still now. So this makes them less competitive, because on the other side we are having skilled workforce. On the other side we are having skilled workforce, and here poverty people, they are unskilled. So obviously these people will get selected, and this makes them less competitive. So this enters a vicious cycle and intergenerational mobility. The generation to generation, the children will also suffer, their children will also suffer. So this continues as a vicious cycle. Okay. Now next, moving on to the poverty estimation. So how much population in India is living in poverty? So the statistics are like 25.7% of rural India and 13.7% of urban India are in BPL. That means below poverty line. This much population is living under BPL. Then Niti Aayog, it used a task force to estimate poverty. For this, it has taken data from NSSO, and this estimation was based on the consumption patterns. Okay, so why poverty estimation is needed? So this requires answer. So why? The government needs to monitor the implementation of welfare schemes. It has to evaluate the outcomes of welfare schemes. Only then it can devise necessary corrections or necessary actions to correct that. So it helps in equitable governance. Equitable governance means through poverty estimation, government is finding persons who are deprived, and government is providing equitable governance through providing the adequate welfare schemes. So this is the need of poverty estimation. Then here also you have to learn some keywords. This also you can use in answer writing. So those are absolute poverty. So United Nations World Summit for Economic Development, it has defined absolute poverty as the severe deprivation. The severe word is important. So there is nothing, or there is no basic human needs to be fulfilled, and including food, safe drinking water, sanitation, health, shelter, nothing is there in absolute poverty people. So this not only depends upon income but also on social services, because not only income is necessary for a dignified living, social services like education and health also becomes important for a sustainable livelihood. So this is absolute poverty. There is this severe deprivation. Then poverty threshold. Poverty threshold means it is set using the monetary value. This is same as the concept one we have discussed a moment ago. That is, it is a basket of essential products. We have discussed about a basket which is of essential products. How much monetary value it is amounting to. To buy this particular basket of goods and services, how much amount it is costing. So that is about poverty threshold. Then relative poverty. Relative poverty means the person can be in poverty or not. It is using a comparative terms. So it is mainly used by developed countries. It is like compared to others, they are relatively deprived. So they may not be living in this absolute poverty condition. They may be having access to some services, but compared to other sections, well-off sections, they may be a little poor. So this is having a criticism. Why? Because it ignores the absolute standard of living and it assumes that a relative income is all that matters to welfare. So that is not good. Absolute, it is actually denying the importance of even the basic services. Okay. Then poverty threshold. Poverty threshold, as I said earlier, it is the percentage of economically bottom population and it is always below the poverty line only. Okay. Then next is the timeline approach of poverty estimation. Here you can use in a timeline approach, first what happened, after that what happened, like that you can make a flow chart also. So first is Dadabhai Navroji. He in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule, he has actually introduced the concept of poverty and what is the importance of this issue, how it is costing to our economy and the nation. So he actually for the first time evaluated the minimum cost for a diet, for a one-time diet, how much should an Indian pay. Okay. Next is National Planning Committee. It said about the minimum standard of living which is needed for an individual. Then next is Planning Commission. The effort by Planning Commission, it has set up an expert group and it has put efforts in devising separate poverty lines for rural and urban areas. Okay, because rural poverty is different, urban poverty is it is also different. So we have to have two methodologies for measuring these two poverties. Then next effort is by Dandekar and Nath. It is the first systematic approach for the poverty estimation and it has actually given a physical number also. What is the expenditure for 2250 calorie consumption? So this is like a standard rate of consumption which is ensuring the welfare and well-being of an individual. So to afford this 2250 calories, how much expenditure is needed? So it is the first systematic approach. Then comes the Alag Committee. So it actually focused on the nutritional rates, nutritional needs. What are the nutritional needs of the population? And it has said that it has to be adjusted with the inflation. Whenever inflation is there, the nutritional needs also should be adjusted on a timely basis. Okay. Next is Lekadwala Committee. Here the state specific poverty lines should be constructed because India, it is very diverse and some states they are having very good social indicators whereas others are having low indicators. So given this huge disparity, it is always better for devising state specific poverty lines so that we can better target the affected person. And he has also, this committee has also suggested updating the CPI-IW Consumer Price Index of industrial workers in urban areas and CPI-AL agricultural labor in rural areas. So this is like a decentralized approach. Then next is from the Tendulkar Committee. Tendulkar Committee, he has taken a shift from calorie consumption based poverty estimation, because until now we have seen this much calorie is important, this much expenditure is important. So this is a shift. Not only calorie consumption based poverty estimation is needed, other things are also needed. So here the basket was increased. Cereal, pulses, milk, edible oil, non-vegetarian items, all these items were included, and even non-institutional and institutional things were included. Whatever is required for entertainment, personal goods, toilet goods. So the coverage was made widened. So this is the importance of Tendulkar Committee. Then next term is Uniform Poverty Line Basket. So it is like new poverty lines for rural and urban areas of each state based on the Uniform Poverty Line Basket. So it is also a decentralized kind of approach. Then private expenditure, health and education expenditure. What is that? Then a methodology used is mixed reference period. So these are the recommendations of Tendulkar Committee. These 4 are recommendations of Tendulkar Committee. Then comes the Rangarajan Committee. Rangarajan Committee, it based on an independent large survey. So it was based on the survey of household, the doorstep survey of household, and it was done by Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. So there are two terms, normative and behavioral level. So what are the ideal and desirable level of nutrition? So here it is actually citizen centric. They are directly moving to the household and asking to themselves, asking to them, what is your ideal and desirable level of nutrition? What are your non-food expenses? So the general behavior of people is also taken into concern. So until then the government was sitting at a place and devising solutions, but here citizen is also getting involved. Then the methodology was changed from mixed reference period to modified mixed reference period. So these are the recommendations of Rangarajan Committee. Then next is determining the components of poverty line basket. So challenges of price differentials was included, and this can vary from state to state. The price differentials, or the what all commodities are there to be in the basic basket of goods and services. This can actually vary from one state to another. So this was taken into consideration. Then next is demographic and economic dynamics. So consumption patterns, nutritional needs, prices of components, they keep on changing as per the dynamics of macroeconomy and demography. So this is like a upgradation process. So the poverty estimation is to be a dynamic process, because all these consumption patterns, nutritional needs, etc., it is not going to be constant. It is going to change, because if you look into the earlier times, then rice was a staple food, rice and wheat. But now what is the staple food? Even bread and burger, such kinds of fast food are coming into play. So the food habits, consumption habit, the clothing habits, etc., is getting changed. So accordingly the estimation methods also should evolve. So that is one thing. Then you can use some diagrams in your answer writing. Here I have given a diagram. This is economic components. What are the economic components? Occupation, income and asset. Then basic need components, food, shelter. Then resource component, health and education. See, if you are using this type of innovative diagrams, you can actually save the word limit, and also you can make your answer look more attractive. Okay. So next is consequences of poverty. What are the after effects of poverty? So due to poverty, there will be this social discrimination, political discrimination, economic exclusion. So these all things will come in a vicious cycle due to poverty. So simply taking a poverty person, a poor person, if you are seeing in a road, even we will be socially discriminating. We won't be, the people won't be behaving in a human way. So due to that social discrimination, they are facing political exclusion. They are not having any representatives to talk about their problems, and they are being driven into hunger also. So there is economic exclusion also. Why? Because there is such a perception, the poor people, they are a burden to economy, the burden to state, they are like alienable people and they are unproductive, we are not having any benefits out of them. So these are social perceptions. So what this means is that due to these things we will be having ever increasing inequality. Already we are having a poor Gini coefficient which measures the inequality among the nations. So India is having wide inequality between the rich and poor. So given this huge disparity or huge difference, even more aggravated the situation will be if we are faced with poverty also. So this is actually putting a curb on the concept of welfare state, fundamental right, etc. So here in this point you can link this to GS2 Polity also, wherein you have many terms like welfare state, then directive principles of state policy, fundamental right, Article 21, Article 23, all these things you can link here. So that is to be practiced through practiced consistently. Whenever you are consistently practicing answer writing, that skills will come automatically. So that you have to take care. That the concept of Oscar Lewis, he talks about the subculture of poverty. See, poverty, it is intergenerational, it is being transmitted over generations, and when this happens, one generation, this is generation 1, it is poverty ridden, and through generation 2, generation 3, 4, etc., this is getting transferred. So automatically this transforms itself into a culture of poverty, and due to this culture of poverty, people will be psychologically unstable. So this drives the people to forced crimes. That is why we are having many crimes among poor people. Then it forces the children to take upon child labor. Okay, so because there is no ways of livelihood, so child labor will be prevalent, and overall a culture of violence will be developed. So this is the concept given by Oscar Lewis. Then next portion is relating to the issue of urban social safety. Now this will be a task for you for today. You have to write about this urban social safety, how it is coming as a consequence of poverty. So try writing that. Then next is another figure which you can use, that is a poverty trap, talking about the poverty trap. This is growth and this is development. So growth, talking about growth, when there is low economic growth, there will be low income, obviously low income. So income itself is less, so there will be less savings. When savings is less, low investment will come. This again translates into low economic growth. Okay, then development, again development means it is relating to social aspects, education, healthcare, etc. is less. So the potential and productivity of human capital or social capital gets decreased. So this result into low productivity and low income. So this is like a poverty trap. In growth and development, in both concept, poverty trap is coming into picture. Okay, then what are the measures that can be taken to improve the situation? So first and foremost thing is population control. See, these poor people, they are not having proper awareness on the family control methods, or what is the need of family control, awareness of contraceptives, all these things they are not aware of, and what is total fertility rate, what all things are to be ensured to take care of maternal and infant health. So all these things, it is the duty of the state. Through local governments and ASHA workers, the government can take a step in giving awareness to these people about the population control. Automatically, when population itself is controlled, the number of members in a family gets reduced. So with the same income, it is more smoother for the family to go on with the daily activities. So that is one important step. Then new avenues of employment. See, we need diversification of career. Only one, if all the people need one career, one particular type of career which is associated with the social glamour, like government jobs or other jobs. So if all the people are moving into this, then there will be this demand increase of demand for that career, and we won't be able to make best use of our potential workforce also. So there should be new avenues of employment, and there is a need of recognizing the other important jobs also, like artistic jobs are there, music, food service, then other non-governmental jobs are there, many jobs which require much high levels of realistic thinking are there. So such things have to be taken care of. Okay. So we have to develop this social acceptance towards other jobs. Okay. In that way, we can provide the employment to poverty-ridden people. Then next step is direct benefit transfers to vulnerable sections. So for this, we have to ensure precise targeting. With what is the issue with direct benefit transfers? Although this is a digital method of giving grants and aid to the poor people, that is not reaching the poor people. See, if we are extending a DBT to a woman in a family, many times it will be reaching the paternal authority in that house. It can be husband or it can be father. So such things should be taken care of. Government must devise methods to clear such problems. Then next is timely upgradation of wages with inflation. So if the wages are getting updated, then the people can lead a better life and meet their daily expenses also. Then increasing workforce participation rate. So for that, government has to focus on better administrative support to the sectors like textiles. See, textile sector, it is actually a lucrative sector for India, but India is not ready to realize the potential. We can bring in MSME sector to sectors like textile. So we can link both these sectors, but India is not yet to realize the potential of this labor intensive sectors. So that is a good step from the part of government which can be taken. Then the funds to local government. The main issue with the local government bodies is shortage of funds. So if they are given funds, then they can bring in many welfare schemes for the people. Then next is modernizing agriculture. See, India is a agri dominant economy. So what we have to do is we have to modernize agriculture and we have to move on to the sustainable methods of agriculture so that the productivity can also be increased and the sustainability can also be increased. And there are some allied sectors like food processing sector, marine sector, dairy sector. So if you are developing agriculture, then the spillover effect is going to other sectors also. So the huge chunk of population will be getting jobs, will be getting a right to livelihood. Then next is the concept of universal basic income. See, everyone is having the right to live with dignity and everyone is having the right to livelihood. So those who are not capable of doing that, the state has the duty to supplement them by giving a certain amount of basic income. So that is about universal basic income. The steps which are taken so far by the government. So MG Narega is the first important step. It is like guaranteed work. It is like enforcing right to work and right to livelihood of an individual. So unemployment allowance is also being given. So this is one of the important scheme and one of the most successful schemes across the world which is related to poverty alleviation. Then the mission for doubling farmers' income and the diversification of income of farmers through solar panels or solar parks, then the increasing the productivity and supplementing the farmers with infrastructural supplements like Happy Seeder. Happy Seeder, it is like dealing with the sustainable agricultural development. So such kinds of infrastructural things are also being in place. Then Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. See, this is dealing with developing model villages. So this is on a pilot basis. We can showcase those model villages as an example and we can inculcate in states or in other states the habit of developing these model villages. Okay. Then next is this economic mobility or digital inclusion. PM Jan Dhan Yojana. It is enabling all the people to open bank accounts in their name. Then PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. It has exhibited the skill development programs. It is dealing with the upgradation of skills so that the individual can move on to other prospects of job. Then recognizing rural economy is one another factor. So the doubling farmers income. Then urban mission. Urban mission is very important. So this is like providing urban facilities in rural areas. So how you can use this in mains? So this you can link with, so if you are bringing urban facilities in rural areas, then we can curb the distress migration because people won't be moving out. So like this you have to learn how to link the portions also. So it is targeting poverty in a largely agricultural economy. So it is like village oriented program. Okay. Next is hunger. We'll move on to the practice question for the day. So the question is, poverty alleviation programs in India remain mere showpieces until and unless they are backed by political will. Discuss with reference to the performance of major poverty alleviation programs in India. This is a 2017 mains question. So try attempting it. We'll be discussing the template answer for the same in the subsequent episode. Was manual scavenging remains an embodiment of injustice and failure of India to follow Gandhian ideas. So discuss directive we have discussed in earlier episodes also. When the question is discuss, you have to holistically analyze the answer. Okay, so we can move on to introduction. You can give an introduction as even after constitutional and legal safeguards like Article 14, 17. Article 14 is equality and Article 17 is untouchability. So 17 untouchability, manual scavenging, which we can view as a worst form of untouchability only. And protective discrimination is also in place. Protective discrimination laws like reservation. So even after these much steps, manual scavenging reflects social injustice. Okay, so that is a introduction. Then what are the reasons driving this inhuman practice? So the reasons can be casteism and regionalism. Higher caste people, lower caste people, so lower caste people should do these all jobs, etc. Then regionalism. Minority communities are treated indifferently and inhumanly. Then lack of right consciousness. Whenever these people are forced to manual scavenging and other inhuman treatment, they will be gaining that, they will be having a notion that okay, this is our duty. Since we are from lower social background, we have to do this. So they are lacking the rights consciousness. Then judicial pendency and lack of access to grievance redressal methods. So whenever a case is filed also, the case will be taking lots of years to get completed and justice is getting denied. So grievance redressal methods are also not in place. Then next is political powerlessness. See, these people will be having low representation in political and administrative bodies. So that is one issue. Then due to unemployment and issues of unorganized sector. See, most of the people will be working in unorganized sector only. So already the sector is unregulated. So when manual scavenging also comes in, the problem becomes even more aggravated. Then due to unemployment, people are in a condition to take up any job because they have to however make their both ends meet. They have to get a livelihood. So they are ready to take up any kind of job. So that is one reason. Then moving on to the consequences. What are the consequences? Due to the inhuman treatment, they will be facing social discrimination and psychological stress. And another issue is the children will be getting improper socialization. Due to this, there will be forced crimes. They will be forced into criminal background and they will be pushed to child labor kind of thing. Then next consequences, it is a direct case of constitutional violation because Article 14, 17, DPSP, all the other things and other legal laws, they are talking about abolition of manual scavenging. So this is a constitutional violation and it is hindering the creation of a welfare state. Then next is poverty and hunger. How it happens? Due to manual scavenging in unsafe areas, the hygiene matters. Hygiene becomes poor, health becomes poor. So health outcome is poor, then livelihood becomes poor. So they will be driven to poverty and hunger. Okay. Next is intergenerational vicious cycle. So once a man is pulled to manual scavenging or such jobs, the subsequent generations, the children, they will be also trapped in that vicious cycle. So the social discrimination moves on in a vicious cycle. Okay. Next is a suggestion. What can be done? So recently a bill was there, prohibition of employers as manual scavengers and rehabilitation bill. So that was amended. So this bill is not yet passed. So this actually talks about mechanizing the sewer cleaning. If we are mechanizing or using some ICT technology like robots to clean the sewers, then we can get rid of this inhuman practice. So that bill can be passed. Then next is the local government authorities. They are most attached to the people, so they can monitor the issue more stringently. Then education as a tool. So whatever social issue is there, nothing better than education as a tool can bring their upliftment. So in whatever question they are asking in social justice or governance, you can bring in the concept of education as a means to development. Okay, so that is one suggestion. Then the conclusion, it will be, being the world's largest democracy, we are actually the world's largest democracy, India, and the instances of dignity crisis like manual scavenging indicates that there needs a restructuring of governance framework in India. So that is like a warning. So you have to end conclusion in a positive note like this. Although this is there has to be certain reforms. That is how you have to conclude your answers. Don't go and give some rampant conclusions or directly criticizing the government. So that is about the conclusion. So this episode is completed. Thank you.